what we do here is go back.
Okay, hopefully we are live, and it looks like Dave is trying to hijack the place. Let's just get rid of that off the screen. There we go. Dave, not on there, please. Oh, go back. Don't stand on the keyboards, it's bad. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. And see Dave, obviously. What's the matter, Dave? I'm working, you can't really have cuddles at the moment. Don't stand on it. Oh no, what have we done? Oh, what's he done? Oh, we're back. I think he pressed the bloody PC turn off button. Is it still streaming? Oh dear.
Davey.
Excellent. Hopefully it's still working. Dave destroys the Steam. Let's make sure that the overhead's working. Yep, that seems to be okay-ish. And we got our streaming desktop. Yep, that is seeming to be working as well. Good stuff. And also we got our additional HDMI. Yes, and hopefully you can you still hear me when the screen is on the laptop screen? Let me know if you can still hear me. It should still be active, I believe. The stream mic is the prevalent one. A double microphone. Let's have a look. HDMI 3. Where are we? Stream desktop. Where was a double microphone? Double mic. Which one is the double mic on? It's all good, is it? Excellent. Okay. Hopefully we can start. Is that still? Oh, it seems that my display on my end has actually stopped.
Or is it Davey?
No, I think we're okay. Oh dear. Hopefully it's okay. David Underhill says, unfortunately we can still hear you. Excellent. Dave has not ruined your stream, says O'Reilly. Brilliant stuff.
It was David's birthday yesterday.
It was David's birthday yesterday. He's 1 year old. As is Otis, and also, oh, I just realised the other light's still on.
I can do it.
Yeah, that's alright. I need the exercise. There we go.
Oh, Dave thinks you're coming to cuddle him now.
Dave, I'm not coming to cuddle you. Sorry. Or you, Oats. Bless you hearts.
I'm going to come and say hello, Oats.
There's Otis, just coming into the side of the shot there. Hopefully you can see him.
He's a scaredy.
Ah, dear. I've been preparing for this all day and I'm still nowhere near ready.
Attached to my sleeve, Oats. Mr. Dave.
Anyway, here we go. So, hopefully you're all with us. Excellent. Nice for you to join us on this Saturday evening. It is Saturday the 19th of October 2024. Not long ago until Halloween, then fireworks night, then Black Friday, then Thanksgiving,
not for us.
Christmas, then CES. CES should be an interesting one this year. CES with Nvidia, AMD and Intel and others, obviously, all trying to rinse us for every single penny of our hard-earned wages. So there we go. O'Reilly says, bless you, Mike, for doing a stream more on tweaking Windows. Yes, that is... Thanks, Sky. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to debloat Windows. Now, most of you have probably seen the video I've done already this week. It's been extremely popular on how to see if Microsoft has unwittingly pushed the files necessary for Windows Recall to work on the Windows 24 H2 update. Clearly there's going to be some of you that have got some opinions on the recall and what it is. Now I should say, something that I wanted to address from that video, a lot of people, well not a lot of people, there were quite a few people that were kind of not so much complaining, but suggested it would have been better if I'd have actually gone into detail saying what Windows recall is. Now the reason why I didn't do that, two reasons really. One, I wanted to make the video a little bit shorter to make it a bit more engaging, because people kind of trail off after a certain amount of time, which certainly seems to have worked because the videos had nearly 60,000 views, which for our channel is incredible. I think it's the highest ranked video we've ever done. So thank you to all of you that have watched that. But yeah, the second reason, I guess, really, the video was designed to be kind of a longevity piece. So something for reference. So rather than me going into a huge amount of depth and detail explaining what Microsoft Windows recall is, how it works, all those kinds of things, the idea of the video and also the tags and the title were how to stop it. So I was kind of taking the premise that most people would be using the knowledge, like recall is going to be basically everywhere. It's going to be on the news, it's going to be on TV, it's going to be in the tech press. So basically, unless you live under a stone, pretty much everyone is going to know what Windows recall is, the pros, the cons, the controversy and all that kind of stuff. So for those people after the fact, so in a month or so's time when it's kind of more obvious what is going on, then hopefully the video will serve as a good reference point to actually disable, or at least go some way to disabling the service. As it stands at the moment, the recall software, service, programs, whatever you want to call it, is all very much in the air and kind of, sorry, Dave's licking, but he's right on the HDMI cable.
Davey, come on, sit on that.
Don't do it, Dave. Yeah, it's very much kind of in flux at the moment, because in theory, in order to use the recall service as intended, you would need to have a Windows Copilot Plus PC, which at the moment is going to be probably less than 1% or less than 1.1% of Windows users. So at the moment it's very much a kind of, it's not really a thing. It potentially could be, which is why I made the video, because for me personally, I don't want Windows recall, I don't need Windows recall, and I think it's one of those things which Microsoft are kind of shoehorning into the operating system, kind of almost betting the company on it, that it's going to be a big thing. Now, obviously, all companies are doing these big AI pushes at the moment. So for Microsoft, they wanted to get in there and they wanted to have something which uses the neural processing units built into new processors to leverage that to make it into a useful tool. Now, whether or not you and me, whether or not we see it as a useful tool or an invasion of privacy, that I guess is still up for debate. And obviously we can discuss that in the stream. A lot of people have discussed it in the video as well and left comments. The general consensus, as I see it at the moment, is that the majority of Windows users, or at least the ones which are more technically active, I would say. So obviously like people that watch tech channels such as this one and you guys that are watching the stream, it's something that we don't want. We never asked for it. We don't want it.
Don't need it.
It isn't really necessary, at least in its present iteration of how it works, which, depending on what your thoughts are on it, you guys watching, if you actually want to know what Windows recall is, how it works, what it needs, the premise of what it's all about, if you want me to go through that in some depth, then we can do. I'm thinking that most of you probably have got a pretty good idea of what Windows recall is. If not, obviously a quick Google search, just type in what is Microsoft recall, and you can find out lots about it. Now, again, a lot of it is still in flux, so there are things which are, they're saying are system requirements for it to be actually working. But what is more concerning, I think, for me personally, and probably for some of you, is the fact that the kind of the groundwork for Windows recall is built into essentially every new installation of Windows 24 H2. And for the majority of you, it does appear that it's also been shoehorned into upgrades. So if you've upgraded from 23H2 to 24H2, done the Windows update, you now find that there is some of the Windows recall system files or feature files baked into the operating system, which I think is probably not good. But like a lot of people have said, it's like having a touchscreen. If you've got a Windows laptop, or if you've got a Windows PC, you'll find it in the background. There's loads of programs, services, and features which are actually built in and active and running, but are they being used? So like in the instance of touchscreen, the framework for having touchscreen working on Windows is there in the background. You plug in a device which is touchscreen enabled, or you use a touchscreen monitor, and then you can use it as a touchscreen because the prerequisite software is baked into the operating system. Now that, I feel, is obviously a beneficial thing, because in the modern era there are touchscreens available. People like to use them, and for some instances it can be very helpful. For some people it's not, for some people it is, but it's kind of one of those things where it's a benign thing. It's not harmful. It hasn't got potentially dangerous consequences. Whereas for me personally, I think that having the Windows recall system files pre-installed is potentially a dangerous thing and opens up a lot of things which could potentially go wrong. Now, not saying they will go wrong, but obviously there is the potential. If something is there, it can be either misused, go wrong, accidentally activated, whatever it is. Now, there's lots of ifs and buts. I am totally aware of that. And I don't want to scaremonger. I just want to kind of try to educate and make people aware. Because I think if you're aware of something, then it isn't dangerous. Or at least it's less dangerous because you've got an idea that it's there, it's running. You can keep an eye on things. That is my kind of take on it. So anyway, that is my... Sorry?
A letter says.
What did I...
Put in the store, not where people can get on it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. They are saying that it's, if you suddenly find yourself with a Windows Copilot Plus enabled PC, or have the hardware to enable those features, then it will be offered to you as an option. It won't automatically be turned on, which is fine. But as we all know, and most of us have experienced over the years, with things like updates, Windows updates, even things like antivirus updates, there can be things which go wrong in it, and turning on one feature or enabling one thing can have a chain effect and open up others. So again, it all comes back to my kind of personal thoughts that if the touch paper is there, it could be lit. Obviously, it's going to be better to not have the touch paper there at all. Now also we can get into the kind of the conspiratorial aspects of it, of like, why have they put it in there? Are they planning to secretly enable it on all PCs at some point? Obviously that is a possibility, and we don't know for sure. And without the ability of hindsight and some time traveling, we don't know what's going to happen. We really don't. So most of this is going to be pure speculation. But having said that, this is Microsoft. They have been known to make very, very unpopular decisions with their operating system, and being that it is the world's largest or the world's most used operating system for desktop PCs, it's obviously going to be a massive, massive target for bad actors, threats, hackers, whatever you want to call them, those kinds of things. Or even things like the NSA, the CIA, MI5, MI6, whatever, the police, whatever it is one of those targets. So if there are kind of elements of the back door in place, it's only going to be a matter of time before someone opens the door fully, is my opinion. And I think we've all kind of come to learn that even though we think our operating system is our PC on our computer, that there are back doors everywhere. Microsoft know it, the security agencies know it, and they're fully aware of it. Even things like your mobile phones, there are apps which can be installed without your knowledge, like the Pegasus app, for instance, which can basically know everything about your phone without you having any idea it's actually running. So again, it comes back to the thing, if the framework is in place, it can be misused, abused, taken advantage of. That's my personal take on it. And from the discussions I've had with numerous people, I think that the majority of us are all in the same boat here. So that was why I made the video, again, which has been very popular, but also why we're doing this stream tonight on how to debloat Windows. So this is going to give us the opportunity to rectify the recall situation for a start. Also, we're going to be able to remove basically all of the apps that are basically bloatware within the operating system. We're also going to look at how to disable things like Microsoft's telemetry data, which constantly phones home telling Microsoft how you're using your computer, which again, potentially it can be a useful thing for Microsoft to learn from what we do to make the operating system better. But depending on who's looking at that data and how that data is being interpreted or used or distributed, it is also potentially an invasion of your privacy. So, yeah.
Before we start, should we say hello?
Yeah, before we start, shall we say hello to some people?
First of all.
And this bloody monitor screen keeps on turning off. I'm going to have to adjust that because that's going to drive me mad. Hang on a second. Let's go into the power plan and edit the power plan and turn off the display. Let's say an hour. I'll probably stop talking long enough for that. I have to get my glasses on actually. God, my eyes are turning into Mr. Magoo. First of all, we had a super chat or a PayPal donation come in from O'Reilly. Thank you very much. And actually this week, O'Reilly came down. He was on a visit to another location in the UK, passing through. So he dropped in briefly for a couple of cups of tea and a chat. And we give him some bits and pieces as well to take away with him. And it was very nice to meet you, O'Reilly. It's always nice to put a physical face to a avatar, if you know what I mean. Especially in this kind of this world of kind of connection, we often lose that kind of that human interaction. So it's always nice to see people. And if you're a long-term member of the channel, or you've been around a while and you've chatted and you're ever passing through the Bristol region, then get in touch. Let us know, and we can either meet up, have a chat, or yeah, if you just want to say hello and then be on your merry way, you're more than welcome to do so. We like to meet people, so yeah, it's all good. So we've got Nick Barnes in the chat, we've got a rally, got Hunter Mile, I hope I pronounced that right, says glad to see some security stuff on the channel, I hope I can catch up live. I hope you can. If not, watch it in the replay. It's actually quite an interesting little app we're going to be using today, or basically it's a script, not an app. So yeah, it's quite useful. I've actually done it on my video editing PC, I've also done it on the streaming PC, and I have noticed a significant improvement in terms of performance, and also some of these little kind of lags that you get and stutters every now and then when there's just some background services going on which are hogging the CPU, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm on the desktop, I've only got Chrome open or whatever, and why is my PC like CPU temperature spiking? There's no reason for it. Alt Control Delete, look into Task Manager, and yeah, there's probably some Microsoft services doing something in the background or sending your telemetry data out to the cloud. Who knows? But anyway, we'll be trying to rectify that at some point tonight.
Lucas asks, what do you think about Atlas operating system?
Lucas asked about Atlas operating system. I've honestly never heard of it. The first time I've heard of it is when Kath just uttered the words. I don't think I know anything about it, so sorry. I have no thoughts on the matter. Hi to Roderick. How you doing, Roderick? Paul Lamont. How you doing? Charles Ballard. Warframe Player. David Underhill. Who else we got? Nero. Viali 100. Mark Berry. William Bodie. How you doing, William? William says, Moin, thank you very much for the pen. I got home from work. Did light up my evening. Oh, excellent. The Mike's Unboxing pens are being distributed out slowly. Once again, the post office has been closed a few more times than it's been open recently. So there was a couple of days where it was open. We try not to overwhelm them by taking in a whole bunch of pens in one go, especially as the process of exporting these things to other countries involves filling out loads of forms and tax exemptions and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, we don't want to overwhelm them. So we're doing a couple at a time, daily, just yeah, to keep things ticking over. So if you haven't had your Mike's Unboxing pen yet, don't worry. It's probably either in the post or in the post bag ready to go. You'll probably get them for Christmas. Who knows? John David Sullivan says evening all. And Welly Bob's in the chat. How you doing, Welly Bob? Who else we got? Nick Barnes. He's been tired because he's been emulsioning. He's been getting very emotional. Sorry,
Sounded
dad
a bit
joke.
Irish then.
Oh dear. Mark Gaines, how you doing? Who else we got? Glenn. Glenn from the Discord, how you doing? Pixelbyte says hello. How you doing, Pixelbyte? G-Zone says hi, Mubs. Who else we got? Michael Ellingham, how you doing? Matthew Day says I need to turbocharge my microwave. You need to throw that thing away. Microwaves are bad. Not just for your health, but I don't think they make the food taste good.
Radiation.
Yeah. The only radiation I've got is the heat from my head. My head does feel quite warm. It's actually quite warm in this day. 23.4 degrees Celsius and a humidity of 61%. So it's pretty warm. 23.4 degrees. That's like summer temps. We've got no heating on at all. It's just the heat from my head and the computers. Skystalker says, hey peoples, hope you're all doing fine. Yeah, we're not doing too bad. Who else we got? Rick said double microphone, but I think that was his end. He's probably got the Discord open or something as well. I do that myself. Mick Woods, how you doing, Mick? Good to see you.
Use a saucepan.
Use a saucepan, yeah, why not? Carl Worrell says, how you doing? Wait, didn't he says yes, but whatever. Same thing. It'll do. Sorry, just scrolling through, see if I've missed anything. Man's Man John says, good evening all. How you doing? Hello, Aletta. Mark Berry, I think I said that already. Ashley Strachan says, good evening all. Chinese grub eaten. Prawn crackers shared with doggy. Ready to debloat. Excellent. Aletta says, recall is spyware. It kind of is. It kind of is. Yeah, there's so many facets of the recall software or protocols or whatever you want to call it, which you can see all of the tiny little pieces kind of coming together. So something that a few of us have noticed, if you do a completely fresh installation of Windows 11 24H2 and you sign in with your Microsoft account, which is supposedly what you should do, although we know ways around that, don't we? Because we're clever people. If you do the installation and you sign in with your Microsoft account, it automatically enables BitLocker encryption for your operating system, which does add a performance penalty because obviously encrypting files on the fly is a resource hog, so it makes your PC a bit slower. In theory, obviously, it makes your PC slightly more secure because if someone happens to pick up your laptop, walk away with it, they can take out the hard drive, stick it into another computer, read your files without needing your username, password or anything. But if they're encrypted, it is essentially useless unless they have the decryption key, which is a hard thing to do. So even brute force attacks, even with AI, don't really have a really valid way of decrypting those files easily. It possibly can be done, and we have heard stories of it being done, but it's not for the kind of the general everyday person who's gonna scumbag, that comes into your house, nicks your stuff, and looks on your hard drives. Realistically, it's not going to happen. So yeah, going back to what I was thinking. So encryption being enabled. Now this is where it comes back to the recall thing, because recall, basically a quick kind of refresher, the recall system as part of Copilot is essentially it's basically just watching everything you do, this on your screen. Now, before we go into that too much, I should add the caveat that they do allege that in the software, you can decide which applications are included to be watched, which windows and which devices, which hardware, etc. So there are kind of toggles that you can turn on and off. But again, I think it's going to be one of those situations where most people don't have a clue. They buy a computer, they go to the local big box retailer, they get it home, they sign in, they turn it on, and that's kind of it. They fire up Word, they fire up Excel, and they don't really know what's going on in the background, which I think is quite a normal thing. Most people don't. It's like a mobile phone. You get a mobile phone, You put your SIM card in, or your eSIM, you register it, you set up your apps and stuff. You kind of, that's it, you're done. You don't really pay much attention to what is going on in the background. A lot of people don't even bother with simple things like antivirus software or updates to the device. You just use it until it basically either won't charge anymore or gets stolen or just stops working. People don't really want to delve under the hood, which is where I think recall is slightly dangerous, because if it's kind of running, you know what it's like when you do your setup in Windows, you get all those things that ask you, like, do you want to enable data transfer? Do you want to add, where's my device? All those kinds of things. You either get the people that go, yes, 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 or some people go, no, 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 no. Very few will go in and be quite selective and say, well, yeah, I want that, but I don't want that. Or I know what that is, so I don't want that. And, do you know what I mean? I think the majority of people are going to be just like, yes, 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 start, install Steam, get gaming. And that's basically it. So it's quite concerning. What was my train of thought? Right, encryption, yes. So Microsoft obviously are aware that they have to, as an operating system provider and as a big global company, they have to take some levels of responsibility to actively protect your data. Now, obviously, your data is your data and it's your PC. The ultimate thing is it comes down to you. It's your PC. Like with a car. You're driving a car. It's not the manufacturer's fault if you drive down the street at 100 miles an hour and you start knocking over trash cans and stuff. That's on you. The manufacturer has given you the device or the car. You use it however you use it. And Microsoft are in a kind of similar situation. They're providing an operating system. How you choose to use that operating system is basically down to you. But they have to have basic level kind of due diligence. So that's where the file encryption comes in. So to store your data and actually keep it relatively safe from other applications and also from theft is to have the data hardware encrypted on your device. So again, fresh install, Windows 24H2 enables BitLocker as a default. So in Microsoft's minds, I'm getting the kind of very distinct vibe that they're doing that because they kind of deep down know that the system is open to abuse and could be abused either by themselves or by external companies, or if someone steals your device. So by having those files encrypted, it just adds a slight layer of protection. So let's rewind a little bit. Windows Recall needs a Copilot Plus PC. So why would you enable file encryption as a default setting for a fresh installation of Windows 11 24H2? Are you being proactive by trying to protect your customers' data, or are they preempting the fact that in a short amount of time, due to the fact that AMD, NVIDIA, Intel, etc. are all building in AI processing units or MPUs into their graphics cards, their processors, and various other accelerators? I don't know, is the honest answer. But if you kind of look, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, I'll be honest with you. Whenever I hear something, I always look in about 75 different directions, looking at kind of lots of different eventual outcomes. Some of them can be completely wild and wacky. Some of them can be relatively kind of, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I do take a wide look across all eventualities. And if you are someone who kind of does err slightly more on the conspiracy side of it, you would think that, yes, they are kind of getting to the point where they're just lining up all the little bits so that they can use that data however they want to. Which, much like Meta with Facebook and various other parts of Meta, the Instagram and stuff, if you're not really diligent about it, you can just basically leave it so all of your data, your preferences and stuff can be used as part of their AI modeling. Which again, that data is very expensive to procure, and it's helping them to train their large language model systems. So by getting us to do the majority of the donkey work, billions of users of the Windows operating system, it just means they don't have to employ a bunch of people to run these machines through their paces to get that data. They've got a much larger target base of people, which is you and me. So yeah, there's lots of things going on which I don't know. I'm going to read through the chat a minute and see what you guys think, because I've just been talking for way too long. But there's, yeah, like even simple things like applications needing to know your location. Now, it can be something very, very sincere and obvious, such as the weather app on your phone or on your computer. You click on the device, on the widget, what's the weather like? Obviously, it doesn't know, unless you tell it where you are, it's got no idea. So by giving it access to your location, it's like, right, it knows where you are, so it can give you an accurate weather report. Well, accurate weather reports are something which we dream of and still are nowhere near being accurate, but they're close, I guess. But you know what I mean. There are things, technological advances, which are designed to be kind of helpful, to make our lives easier, allegedly. But you just can't help thinking that they use that data in a way that they shouldn't, which is terrible. And I actually heard someone on a stream today with, there was a discussion going on, and it was very black or white. It was like, okay, if you don't trust Microsoft, then that's the end of the conversation. You shouldn't use Windows. Now, I'm slightly more of a kind of, there's a massive grey area. Now, I don't trust Microsoft, but that doesn't mean the conversation is over and that I can't use a Microsoft operating system. I want to use Microsoft operating system because it suits my needs. But I'm also fortunate enough to have learned enough going along through the years that I'm aware that the tools that Microsoft provide us, not only do they benefit us as the end user in some cases, but they also benefit them as well, because they analyze what we do with these apps, how we use them, the sites we visit, you know, the things we search for. They use that information to then build other products or sell that information onto either third parties or even their own internal parties for other things, such as the Office suite or Azure cloud stuff. All the data is valuable. And yeah, I'm kind of going off on a weird tangent here, so I should probably stop it there. Let's have a read through and see what you guys are saying. Shiny Helmet says, I'm waiting to see how much the 3 years extra security patches for Windows 10 are going to be. I've already got Linux Mint installed just in case. Oh, let's scroll up to 2. Just in case, and everything's working fine there if I need to. I think it's actually, again, this is one of those kind of, it's almost like a bit of a fulcrum point where people have been using Windows for so long and it's become their kind of their daily operating system. And moving on to another operating system is potentially challenging. For some people, it's going to be impossible because there's certain programs or apps that you use which only run on Windows. If you're a PC gamer, at the moment, it's still very hard to use a Linux system for your daily driver for games because yeah, some games work fine, emulation mode, and obviously you've got advances with things like the Steam Deck and other things which use the Linux operating system as a kind of subsystem. So there is the potential there for it, but I think still for a lot of people, the move from Windows is either extremely daunting a very daunting prospect or impossible. I don't think I could move away from Windows. And I don't think I would actually want to, because I've got to the point where I know really how Windows works to a large extent.
From your side.
Yeah, from what I need to do and for kind of looking for the operating system, the system files, device manager, all that kind of stuff. Whereas with Linux, I'd be basically back to day one. And that would feel very, very weird for me. Anyway. Alessa says, true, we shouldn't use Windows, but there's not anything else to use that works. Yeah, I agree. I agree entirely. It's like the case of better the devil you know. Vulture UK Rich says, data is a huge commodity throughout the world. It really is. AJ Haverkamp, yeah, this is actually a very valid point. He's saying there, I don't trust the USA government and they can force Microsoft into doing whatever they want. Yeah, very much. The, what was it, the 7 Eyes or 5 Eyes thing, the various countries that kind of work together and share information. like I said, there is obviously backdoors into Windows and even simple things like the Chrome browser or Edge browser. So yeah, you have to kind of, the whole kind of trust thing, you have to take a kind of a little bit of a reality check and say, well, yeah, of course, there's nothing which is absolutely safe to use. There clearly isn't. And people, that was the amusing thing actually for the recall video. There were so many people who were saying, well, it's okay for me because I'm on Linux. It's like, well, yeah, that's great, because maybe Linux isn't quite as intrusive as an operating system, but you still have to use software on Linux to some extent. So whether that's a web browser, whether that is an email client, whether that's a video editing program, a spreadsheet, it's whatever it is, you still have to install software which is possibly not made by the same people that are making your operating system. So there's always going to be these companies which obviously use, look at things like Canva, the thing for doing visual design stuff. They were flogging data left, right and centre, I believe. That's an allegedly, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. And there's been numerous companies which have given away free software, and then we found out that they're basically passing on all your information to third parties and data brokers and whatever. I think AVG were one of the ones which were guilty of that at some point. CCleaner. I know I'm talking about Windows software here, but you would imagine that the same thing goes on with Linux software as well, to maybe a lesser extent. But it certainly still does it. I think, anyway. Lucky Man says bring back dial-up. Definitely. Then they can listen to you as well. Rick H says I'm going to give Linux Mint a try and see. Good for you. David Underhill says, Alexa, I agree. Linux Mint has the worst features of Windows running on a lousy version of Linux. Wow. Alexa says also, here in Ohio, huge data centers are popping up like mushrooms after the spring rain. Yeah, because data is basically one of the kind of the key currencies. Rasher says, I use Microsoft Outlook for email since the late 90s. I would find it very hard to change now. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I use Outlook. I have been using Outlook since probably 2001, maybe. 2000, 2001 as a kind of a default. Prior to that, I used Outlook Express. So the move from Outlook Express to Outlook wasn't that much of a big change. It just allowed me more flexibility and the ability to have more than one email account. But yeah, I enjoy using my... enjoy is probably the wrong word. I use Microsoft Outlook as a preference. Obviously, there's loads of other apps you can use for email. You can just log into a web page and do it. But I find Outlook to be a very agreeable application when it works. It's mostly okay. Bill Gates and Keir Starmer having meetings at Downing Street. Recall will find those naughty tweets you sent and get you jailed for years. But again, that is a possibility. You never know. Dobry George says they can't spy on you if you unplug the internet, lol. That is very true.
But is it?
Yeah.
Cameras in the streets now.
That's true. Zero Defect says Thunderbird is quite good. I've never tried that actually. I might have to at some point. Mookie MC says hello. I only do stupid things and write and speak gibberish online, so my mind data is useless. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are. Obviously, recall is... Actually, let's... I've got it on a web page here, I believe. So we can actually have a quick look and we'll go through some of the things which it does and doesn't. Because I know I should have kind of mentioned it in the video I did. So let's type that in. So what is Windows Recall? It's such a horrible name, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, so one of the things that comes up saying is just ask recall and it retrieves both text and visual matches for your search, automatically sorted by how closely the results match your search. Recall can even take you back to the exact location of the item you saw. Notes, recall is coming soon through a post-launch Windows update.
Clear the screen, please.
Okay, let's clear the screen. And let's go to the website. So we'll have a look on the website now. Sorry if this is boring, but I guess some people want to know. Yeah, we'll see that. Yeah, there you go. Have a quick slurp of my drink a moment. Okay, so retrace your steps with recall. This is basically what recall is all about. This is from Microsoft's own support page. So take it as it will. I'm not too sure when this was actually published. It doesn't say, as far as I know. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and see if there is a timestamp to see when this was actually activated. And actually, before we do that, let's go back to the main camera. We have got a super chat in, so we get the old RGB going, and that's from Baz. He sent us £10. Thank you very much, Baz. Much appreciated. Baz says, Windows is fine if you take a few precautions, use a local account, disable telemetry, Copilot, recall, etc. Don't install dodgy software from unknown sources. Yep, I think that is, Baz has pretty much summed it up there. It all comes down to being, I wouldn't say educated, because that's probably being a little bit too much, but it's just being aware of what is going on with your computer, how it works, what it's trying to do, and some of those best practices. Again, later on in the video, we're going to go through a script and show you how to kind of rip out most of the crap which is in Windows, which will make your PC a little bit snappier to use, and hopefully for a lot of you going to be a little bit more secure and not have to worry so much about your information leaking out or being kind of scrubbed, which is yeah, not a good thing. Thank you again, Baz, for that. Much appreciated. Right, let's go back to there. So, retrace your steps with Windows Recall. You can basically search across time, just ask it and it will find things. So, when it takes a snapshot of your screen and your open applications, it's also going to be taking things like metadata and also working out where those images came from, which websites you're on. So, if there's a screen, it can read the website, it can read the metadata, it can read the source code of the website. Also, if you're reading an email, it takes the text from the email, it looks at your contacts and dates, times, all that kind of stuff, and creates a database of that information broken down into kind of millions and millions of little pieces. So then you can ask a question to your AI software, and then AI will then search through that database, find any relevant tags, and then try to piece through a coherent answer for your question. So yeah, as you can kind of see there, if you go into Recall, you can ask it a question and it'll bring the results up on the screen. So if you asked it for a recipe or whatever it is. So it says there, notes, Recall is coming soon through a post-launch Windows update. Recall is optimized for various different languages, blah, blah, blah. So this is the kind of one of the key things which I think is quite important to take into consideration. So the system requirements for Windows Recall. So this is the minimum system requirements at the time this document was produced. So first of all is a Copilot Plus PC. So that means your PC has to have a specific processor. Essentially at the moment it's basically from Qualcomm, which kind of nobody's got, so we don't have to worry too much about that at the moment. It has to have 16 gigs of RAM, so if you wanted to get around it, you could just basically put 8 gigs of RAM in and it wouldn't use it. Also, you have to have a system with 8 logical processors. Now, 8 logical processors seems like quite a high number, but I think in the modern computing terms, actually 8-core CPUs have been around a long time, and if you think that a hyper-threaded processor would show as, I'm pretty sure a logical CPU is a hyper-threaded one as well. So you could have a 6-core CPU and it would still run. I could be wrong on that, but I think that is right. You need to have a minimum of 256 gigs of storage capacity. and you'll need 50 gigabytes of free storage space. Saving screenshots automatically pauses once the device has less than 25 gigabytes of free storage space. So then it tells you how to start saving snapshots. If you want to check this out now, you can actually on your PC. So if you click on your PC, go to Windows Settings, Privacy and Security, Recall and Snapshots, and you can basically go in there and have a look and see if it's actually available, and you can toggle it on or off and all that kind of stuff. How to use it, so you can press the Windows key and J. Again, if you want to try that now, you can do. I think for most of you it won't work. Also, you need to have the Windows Hello enabled for it to work. So there's quite a few little things that it does need to be able to actually use the system, or at least to show it to you, the actual end user. Whether or not they can still get data without actually showing it as an user interface, then that is, yeah, you know what I mean. So you can interact with it, you can click on the screenshots, you can copy, paste it, blah, 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 all that kind of usual stuff. You get the general idea. And it tells you where it's likely to be storing that information as well. You can pause and resume screenshots, and you can also block it from certain places. So Microsoft Edge, you can block it. Firefox, you can block it. Opera, you can block it. Google Chrome, you can block it. And for certain Chromium-based browsers, you should be able to as well. Also, they're going to do sensitive information filtering. Now, again, this is one of those things which actually kind of does bother me as well. I'll go back to the main camera a minute. Not that you want to see my face, but hopefully you can see the sincerity that I'm trying to portray here. So, what is sensitive information filtering? So, sensitive information filtering is if you're on a website and you're filling in things like your name, address, date of birth, national insurance number, social security number, bank card details, telephone numbers, PIN numbers, I'm guessing as well to some extent. They are going to, this is the key thing, they're going to intelligently decipher what is sensitive information and what isn't. So, how do they, or how does it, because it's not really they, it's it, how does the software know that the information that you're typing is sensitive information?
And to know if something is sensitive, the software has already read it.
Yeah. Exactly what Kath just said there.
No, it's Chris Hartford.
Oh, Chris Hartford said it, yeah. Where does it say it? Go. Chris says there quite rightly, but to know if something is sensitive, the software has already read it. So think of it like a James Bond thing, or Mission Impossible. At the start of Mission Impossible, you get this tape recorder or some message saying blah, 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 this is the thing. This message will self-destruct in 10 seconds, and then after you see it explode or catch on fire or whatever. Which is kind of cool because you know that the information has been destroyed. But when it comes to digital information, a computer or your computer has to read that information or read the screen. Yeah, it has to read that information. It has to process it. So immediately by the time it's processed it, that processing has read that information. So I guess there's a kind of a grey area between how much do you trust the software to know what is sensitive information and to not keep track of that sensitive information. Because you'd think as part of the learning model, it would see these kind of reference numbers or codes. So say for instance for a credit card it's like a 16-digit code, or for a Windows license key it's a 25-digit key. It's got to read it, but how does it learn not to do that again?
Take for example our house insurance last year. I always asked them to remove my card details. And yet we phoned up late to renew it, and they said it's okay, we've put that payment through. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Expired.
So for a security thing, our house insurance was on the verge of expiring or had expired. We phoned up to renew, and we didn't need to give them our credit card details again. Even though we specifically told them to remove our credit card details from their system, they still managed to process the payment without us providing them the details.
Plus,
so clearly they had them there.
Had expired.
Yeah, and it was an expired credit card.
By then.
For a good few months. So not only did they keep data, which they were not entitled to do so, they then processed the payment with an expired card, and they renewed it without us actually asking to. So again, it's kind of, you get to a point where you think, yeah, these systems are great and they're there for a reason. And if there's like a tick box saying, do not keep my information, like a simple one, when you go into your browser and you go to a website and you type in your username, you type in your password, and it says, remember this device. So if you don't click remember this device, you assume that it's going to forget you. So the next time you go back in, you've got to log in again. But what happens if you then go back to that site and it just logs you in? Because it has stored your information. So you're putting an awful lot of trust into these websites.
But don't you find you tick the remember me and it never keeps you logged in?
Yeah, it's normally the other way around, isn't it? Something that you don't care about, you tick remember me, and then you go back there and there's like, oh, can you log in?
Something like PayPal, you're on there, you go and do something else for 5 seconds and it's logged you out.
There we go. Baz says it could be local cookies. It could be, but local cookies in the kind of the connected world, and if the cookies are within a web browser or something, it's, yeah, I think it's all getting to be a little bit too intrusive, and we do have to give these companies, these operating systems, these devices, an awful lot of trust, which is quite.
Cat said that they've used an expired or cancelled card, but they did it for us without us even asking them to. Is the point? And we told them to get rid of the details.
Right, I think we've covered that. So let's go back to the screen here. So sensitive information filtering. I do have my qualms about that, definitely. So you can exclude a website. So if you don't want it to use certain websites, then you can tell it not to. Again, it has to read the website or to know what website you're on to be able to say what website to be excluded, if you know what I mean. Also, you can manage your size of your data. So it looks like if you've got a 256 gig drive, they are wanting to store at least 25 gigabytes of data. Now, 25 gigabytes of data, if you're looking at something like a 4K movie, is quite a lot. If you're looking at that as being static information of screenshots, that is an incredible amount of data. And if you've got a 512 gig drive, they want to store 75 gigs, a 1 terabyte drive or more, 150 gigabytes of data. That is the entire installation of Microsoft Flight. Just to give you some context, that is an incredible amount of data.
How much would 25 gigs cost in SSD or something?
10% of the price. It's not a lot. It's not a lot price wise, really, but it's enough to be. Well, you think the entire Windows 11 installation, just a standard installation, is about 30 gigs. So they've got 25 gigs of information, basically the same size as your operating system. That's pretty scary. What else we got? So recall snapshots, keyboard shortcuts, blah, blah, blah. Microsoft's commitment to responsible AI and privacy. Obviously, you can go through and read this. The link's at the top there. I might put this in the video after, so you can check it out and see what you think. We want to hear from you. Well, how about go and never do these things again? Anyway, there you go. So that is basically what it's all about. Recall is basically a snapshot system scouring data from things you do.
Finally, recall is not in my settings, but it was turned off. It's not in my settings.
Oh, it's not in my settings, turned on, yeah.
Following your video, I turned it off.
So that is that is the thing. So the framework is there, potentially, to be used. So in my opinion, it's better to turn it off. So let's take a look at now how we can actually try to protect our systems and also debloat them at the same time. Now this is going to be mostly on screen, so I suggest if you can, full screen your browser or whatever it is you're doing, and you should be able to follow along. I have done a separate video on this, so if for some reason you're kind of not seeing the screen or some of the close-ups aren't as close as you'd hope, there is going to be a full video release on this script very shortly. So yeah, you can just follow along, have a beer for now, and chat with the guys in the chat, or follow along. Choice is entirely up to you. There's another super chat from Baz. Thank you very much, Baz, for your £2 super chat. And it says, personally, I wish OS 2 had survived. Let's give you a heart on that one. I don't think I ever actually used an OS 2 device. I vaguely remember there was one in an office I worked in. I remember seeing it on the side, but I never actually used it. I can't even remember what the computer was for, and I can't specifically remember where it was I was working. It was either Wix or it was Citron. It was one of the two. And I remember sitting at a desk and looking to a side on another desk, and there was this big tower PC, and it said OS 2 on it, and I was like, what is that? Because I wasn't into computers so much then. So that would have probably been the mid-90s, I would have thought. Probably around about mid-90s.
Like Skystalker says, that is a lot of wasted data. Like an
Yeah.
income tax taking 10% of my space. And what kind of CPU overhead is required?
That is it. I think that's why they want it to be these neural processing units, and also have an 8-core processor. You think having an 8-core processor, not that long ago, meant you had a flagship CPU.
Fred asks, do you have an idea to send you a GIF? Discord?
Yes. Yeah, go to the Discord. I'll put the links in the chat if this works anymore. Should do. There we go. Yeah, if you want to send us something, feel free. GIF-wise. Fred, is that a GIF or a gift? Did you miss the T off the end?
No, I think that's the second time he's asked.
Okay, no worries.
It's the same.
Cool Cat says, I was given a free 250 gig mini hard disk the other day. Should I install it in my beloved 1TB gaming PC that you've unwittingly helped me build through the various tutorials, or should I not bother? I would hit up the Discord as well. That isn't a yes or no answer, unfortunately. Where are we? Hey to Al Jazz, is that? How you doing? So let's have a look at a way we can actually try to reduce some of the overhead on our system and also clear out some of the chaff. Now, I do have to say, in full disclosure, well, not really disclosure, but this is a sensible thing to do. Make sure before you make any changes to your system, or you download any software or scripts or anything like that, this applies to this video and also any of our other videos, you should always, always, always make sure you have a backup of your system before you make any changes to it. Now, I know I don't always say that, but I do. I guess I probably make it so that I always back up everything. So to me, it's like, well, it's okay because my system's backed up, I can restore it. But you might not be in the same situation. So before you do any of these changes, obviously it's a script. There are entries you can put in there which could potentially damage or brick your system, or basically stop it functioning the way you want to. So before you go ahead and do anything, please, 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 at the very least, make a system restore point so you can roll back. If you haven't got system restore enabled, I would strongly suggest you get something like Macrium or whatever, or even just use the built-in Windows tool for backing up your PC. Make a backup of your PC. At the very least, back up your entire registry. Put it onto a USB or something. So.
Cool Cat. I think you've missed his
Cool
question.
Cat? No.
917.
Yeah, I did see it.
Oh, right, okay. Is that the one you answered?
Yes, I did, yeah. Right. Yeah, Riley says, create a system restore point. If possible, do control panel and system image too. There you go. Eric Ray says, makes me wonder why Microsoft doesn't just offer something similar to LTSC for general consumers. Kind of like how you can buy a vehicle and you can get something bare bones or luxury. Use case. Yeah. Skystalker, system restore, recall for your operating system. It kind of is, yeah. Right. Yeah, Rash says, don't forget the like button. Press the like button, you wretches. Okay, so hopefully by now you've been able to do that. Now I'm actually going to restart my PC. I'm going to save that as a favorite. Done that. So my computer I've got set so that every time I reboot, it automatically backs it up to my Synology. So I'm going to do the things I preach. So I'm going to head over to my system and I'm going to do a restart. And hopefully this will now start backing up once it comes back online. Let's go back to the main camera a minute because the blank screen isn't particularly interesting. Although this screen might not be that interesting. So this is now loading up. And come on, anytime today. There's also actually a little bit of bonus content in this stream because you're going to be looking at some software that I've got on here called Chamomile. Or Chamomile? Chamomile. It is Chamomile, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's called Chamomile. Actually for making your CPU run cooler. You can hear now my fans on my laptop. This laptop does actually run quite warm. So it's a very cool piece of software. Actually, I'll just check that my Synology is backing up. It shouldn't take more than a minute at the most because it's going to be just backing up the previous state, which backing up, oh yeah, 2.29 gigs. That won't take long, he says. Actually, what have I changed? Oh, there was a Windows update after my last update. So I will quickly let it do the backup. Let me, I'll move that off the screen. If you haven't used the Synology NAS before, I'll move that server address out of the way. So yeah, that's cool. If you look on here, so look, see on my desktop, say it says there backing up. So it's backing up 2.29 gigs. That is basically what has changed since the last reboot. So it's currently doing that over the network. The backup speeds actually seem to be somewhat slower in megabytes per second than it would appear to be doing, but depending on the files and what it's backing up, it can be either faster or slower. So even though it's a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, there we go, it's getting a bit better now. 100 megabytes per second. That's about right. Oh, actually, this isn't 2.5 gig, is it? It's only 1 gig. The laptop's only 1 gig, so that's why it's taking a little while. Normally, there we go, completed. That was nice and quick. So that is our backup done. And again, I would strongly suggest if you are doing any of these types of tweaks, then yeah, make your backups, is what I'm saying. I'm not responsible if your stuff goes completely pear-shaped. And where is my favorites? Windows 11 DEBLOAT.
I'm here.
There's my favorite. She's over there. Right, so are you ready? Let's go. So if you head over to github.com, and you should actually find this link in the video description. So you can go there, Rapfire, or just type in Win11 DEBLOAT. Now this does work for Windows 10 and Windows 11. As you can see here on this side, it says a simple, easy to use PowerShell script to remove pre-installed apps from Windows, disable telemetry, remove Bing from Windows search, as well as perform various other changes to declutter and improve your Windows experience. This script works for both Windows 10 and Windows 11. So there you go. So all you do, click on code, and you get a drop-down box, and you can download the zip file. And that is done, and I'm pretty sure that is going to go to my downloads folder. So you get this folder here, Windows 11 DEBLOAT Master, and I'm just going to do extract all, and extract. And then we get our full folder, and that's got all the data in it. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to cut that. You don't have to do this, I'm just doing this for simplicity. So I can close down all these windows. I'm going to paste it onto my Windows desktop. Actually, I'll be fair, the new Windows desktops are actually pretty sweet. I quite like this.
Do you want to look at some of the questions quickly?
Or
not?
David Under says, does Rapfire data mine? Not that I'm aware of. You can feel free, it's a GitHub repo, so you can go in there and have a look through. Most, or at least all the comments I've seen have been very, very complimentary. So So there you go. Oh, James Miscellaneous is in the house. How you doing, James? And Markovsky.
And JB was in earlier.
And JB was in earlier, was he?
Still there.
Nice. Cool. Right. So let's go into the Windows DEBLOAT master folder. And we've got this PowerShell script here called Win11 DEBLOAT. So just double click this. Oh, sorry, no, it's not that one. That's a lie. You click on Run. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Yeah, there you go. So we get user account control. So that's fine. So you should be able to see that. Yeah, you can, can't you? So click on Yes.
You like the start menu in the centre?
I do. Yeah, I like that. So this is the main menu. So Windows 11 DEBLOAT script comes with a username. So you've got default mode, which will basically apply the default settings. I would advise against doing that. It's you can go through and have a look in the config file to see what the default settings are, but I think for most people going through it manually is the best way. So you've also got option number 3, which is just for application removal mode. So if you want to just remove apps without making any other changes to telemetry, recall, Copilot, etc., etc., you can just do that. Or alternatively, you can do custom mode, which is to modify the script to your needs. Now don't worry, you don't actually have to do any scripting yourself. It's all basically command driven or option driven. So I'm going to choose number 2 and press enter. And this is where we start off. So you've got, again, more options. Don't remove any apps. Only remove the default selection of bloatware from the apps list.txt. So if you go back to the folder here and you look in there, so you've got the, where is it, apps list. So you can open the apps list, yeah, whatever, and you can scroll through and you can see which ones it's actually going to get rid of as a default. Now some of these apps you probably don't want, like Clipchamp, 3D Builder, Bing Finance, Bing Food and Drink, Bing Health and Fitness, all that kind of crap, yeah, you might not want. But there might be some apps in here which you actually do use. So maybe you're someone who uses OneNote, maybe you use Office Sway, maybe you use Print 3D or To-Dos, Windows Alarms, Feedback Maps, whatever it is. You might be using some of these. So obviously if you are using them, then going through and doing it manually is much easier. So there's other things it does that it gets rid of, like iHeartRadio, Flipboard, Hidden City, all that kind of stuff. So that's the apps list. So you can check that. If you just want to do it, you can do. You can remove the default selection from bloatware apps, such as well as mail, calendar, blah, blah, blah. Or number 3, which again I think is the preferable option, and that is to select which ones to keep and which ones to remove. So I'm going to press number 3 and hit enter. And you get this little cool tool come up. So if you want to do it quickly, you can just click on uncheck or check all. Obviously, it's down to individual. You can also as well, like these are ones which can be installed depending on which region you're in. If you don't know which ones you want and which ones you don't, the easiest way to do it is to click down here, only show installed apps. So it's going to check your system to see which apps you actually have installed at the moment. So give it a few seconds to do that. There we go. So now it's going to give you a list of all the ones that it recommends you to remove, which I think is actually pretty cool. So I would go down and check each one. If they're ticked already, generally it's pretty safe to get rid of them. But you can also choose other ones. So like Microsoft Bing Search, I don't really want that. Microsoft Copilot, don't want that. Microsoft Edge, some people might want to keep Edge just as a backup browser, just for testing purposes. So again, it's up to you. The Microsoft Gaming app, Microsoft Get Help, those might be useful to you at some point. Entirely up to you. If you play Solitaire, you can keep that. OneDrive, I'm not using, so I'll get rid of that. Microsoft Outlook for Windows, get rid of that. Microsoft Paint, I use. Microsoft People, I don't want. The Power Automate Desktop, don't want that. And I don't want Screen Sketch. To-do list, I don't want. Dev Home, I've never used. Windows Photos, some people might like that, so again, leave it there. The calculator, I do use that, and the Windows camera, because I've got a webcam, so I do need that. Windows communications apps, I'm going to get rid of that. And if we scroll down further, so like things like this, the Windows Store, I do use the Windows Store to get apps. The terminal I use from now and then, Xbox Game. I don't really use Xbox Gaming on the laptop as such, but again, it's entirely up to you. Your phone, don't want that. Don't want the Zoom Music. And going down through Microsoft Teams, don't like that. And Microsoft Cross Device, I don't synchronize with other devices, so I can get rid of that. So when you're happy, you can click on Confirm. So we've selected 29 applications for removal, which is pretty cool. Thanks, Cool Cat, I will. So now you've got disable Xbox game stroke screen recording. Now obviously if you use the Microsoft Xbox screen recording app, then you should keep it. Now on this laptop I don't, so I'm going to click on yes to disable it and press enter. So now this is actually quite a useful thing. So if you've got any apps which are pinned in your start menu, so if you go to here, these are pinned apps, yeah? It says they're pinned. So you can choose so that all of these apps will remain intact, which you may or may not want to do. Bit of a safeguard. So it says there, don't remove any apps pinned from the start menu. You can either, and then you can remove all pinned apps from the start menu for this user only, or you can remove all pinned apps from the start menu for all existing users and new users. So let's see what have we got here. I'm not too sure. I definitely don't want things like clipchamp and clock and, well, clock's okay. Yeah, anyway. So, don't remove any pinned apps from the start menu, or remove all. So I'm going to do it, I'm going to press number 1. So just for this user, I'm going to get rid of anything that's there. These are the important ones. So this is the ones that you've probably all been waiting for. Like, you can bypass the rest if you want to entirely. Leave it as it is. But if you want to disable telemetry, disable diagnostic data, get rid of activity history, app launch tracking and targeted ads, I think pretty much everybody is going to press yes here, yeah? All right. Then you can disable tips, tricks, suggestions and ads in Start, Settings, Notifications, Explore and Lock Screen. I think that's going to be definitely a yes. And disable and remove Bing Web Search, Bing AI and Cortana in Windows Search. I think that's a given. And then we've got the option to disable and remove Windows Copilot, and this will apply to all users. So obviously if there's more than one person using your laptop or your PC, do check with them just in case they want to use it, but we don't, so we're going to disable it. And now we can disable Windows Recall Snapshots. This applies to all users. So again, this is where kind of the previous video rolls into this one, because this gives you basically a user interface to disable that rather than using those commands. Cheers, Glenn. So click yes there. And also you've got the option to restore the old Windows 10 style context menu. Now I actually don't mind the new version in 24H2. So I'm going to say no to that. And now we've got the option, do you want to make any changes to the taskbar and related services? So this is for a taskbar. So this is all the stuff down here at the bottom. So we definitely want to take a look at that. So we'll click on yes. And for some of you, I know you've already said it in the chat. So there you go, align the taskbar buttons to the left side. Now I like it in the middle, so I'm going to say no. Now we've got some other options that we can go through. So we can now hide search icon from the taskbar. We can show the search icon on the taskbar, show search icon with label on the taskbar, or show a search box on the taskbar. If you're not too sure, you can just click on no change, but I actually don't want the search icon on the taskbar. So I'm going to press number 1. And now we have the option to hide the task view button. So task view is this one down here, which I don't think anybody ever uses. So yeah, we might as well hide that. Scroll back up. And now we've got disable the widget service and hide the icon from the taskbar. So your widget service is this one down here, which brings up all of this junk. So yeah, I don't really want that. It's quite a resource hog, so we'll click yes. And now you've got the option, do you want to make any changes to the File Explorer? So I'm not too sure what changes are options, so let's click on yes anyway, and we'll see what options we get. So do you want to make any changes to the File Explorer? We said yes. Show hidden files, folders and drives. I think that's a good idea, so I'm going to click on yes. Then also show file extensions for known file types. Now this is actually quite important, because if someone sends you, say, a PDF file, and it isn't actually a PDF file, but it's got the logo for a PDF file, and you try and click on it, but it's actually a batch file, you could be in a whole world of trouble.
Thrasher, it's Dave.
It's Dave, sorry. Dave's crying. So, showing file extensions for known file types is a very, very good idea if you're a Windows user.
What do you want, Dave?
So I'd click yes. And sorry, I've got to keep on scrolling here. Hide the home selection in the File Explorer side panel. So the home section is, if I open this a minute, so there you go, you've got this home section, so you've got home, gallery and OneDrive nonsense. I don't want none of that stuff. There's no point of having that. So we are going to get rid of that. So hide the home selection, yes. Hide the gallery section, yes. And hide duplicate removal drive entries from the File Explorer side pane, yes. I don't like duplicate entries, I just want to see one entry. So now we've come to the end. So at this point now you can press enter to confirm your choices and execute the script, or press Ctrl+C to quit. So at this point, obviously we've made all our changes, made all the decisions we want to make. At this point, this is why we make a backup, because there's actually a lot of changes going to be happening once we allow it to do it. So if you're in any way unsure or you haven't made a backup, this is my final warning to you to please either Ctrl+C out, exit out, and make a backup. At least like enable a system restore point, because things can and do go wrong. And it's a free script. You know where I'm coming from. It could go wrong. So make sure you do your backups. So let's go back to here. So now we've got the option to press enter. So I'm going to press enter. Sometimes you actually have to re-enable this window. Why is it not entering now? Let's full screen that. There we go. So now it's going to be executing the script. So it's going to go through removing the various apps. So you can see what it's removing. And if there's any problems or any issues, you'll get some notifications up on the screen now. So Clipchamp's gone, Bing News is gone, Bing Search is gone, Bing Weather's gone, Copilot's gone, Get Started's gone, the Office Hub, Solitaire Collection, Sticky Notes, OneDrive. That's still trying to get rid of it. So we'll have to wait for that a minute. There we go, that's gone. So Microsoft People, the Power Automate Desktop, the Screen Sketcher, the to-do lists. Does anybody use to-do lists on a PC? I don't think they do. Dev Home's gone, Windows Alarms, Communication Apps, the Feedback app. You can see it's all being gotten rid of. Again, if there's any applications or programs that it can't find or it can't get rid of, you will get an error message. Bing went bong, said Markovsky. It definitely did. So yeah, you can see what's getting rid of. And then it's gone ahead and disabled various things. So if we look here, just so if you want to check through it to see that it has done what you wanted it to. So disabling telemetry, diagnostic data, blah, 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 tricks on the lock screen, web search, Copilot's gone, recall snapshots has been disabled, hiding the search icon, you can see that already because it's disappeared from the bottom. The widgets, that's gone down in this corner, that has disappeared now. Task view is also gone from here. Yeah, it's all good. Hidden files, that's in Windows. And there you go, it's restarted Windows Explorer to apply all the changes. And there we got the final thing. So the script has completed successfully. Press any key to exit. And there we go. We are back to our Windows desktop. And let's have a look, see what we've got here. So yep, this is looking much, much cleaner. Now, of course, if you want to add things, you want to pin stuff on there, you can do. It's entirely up to you. That is your your own preference. Got recommended. They should have added something there for recommended, but you can hide that quite easily. But yeah, our thing that was here previously, that's all gone. And if we go into File Explorer, this is much neater. So we've just got our desktop, downloads, all the usual stuff there. This PC, you can see it. It's just it's a much nicer, cleaner environment. And if we look at our CPU usage or CPU temperature, this is actually a very cool little app. So this is the Chamomile app I was talking to you about previously. So currently this is enabled, so we're in cooling mode. So this actually kind of just throttles the CPU so the fan doesn't go wild. I thought it was a good idea to do that whilst we're running this. But if I turn this off, you should see the temps go up reasonably quickly, although typically now it's not going to because there's basically nothing running in the background. So we're staying pretty... Normally when I turn this on and off, it does jump up quite quickly, like 10, 15, 20 degrees. But that's actually doing quite well. So it's basically staying roughly the same. So that means we've got hardly anything running in the background, which is absolutely brilliant. If we click on our start menu again, if we do a search, so let's type in Cinebench. So normally you'd have your Copilot icon somewhere up around here. So Copilot has gone from search here as well. And all of this, we've not got all the crap here from the background. And my CPU is running much, much cooler. But it could run a little bit cooler. So let's turn that on. We'll drop a few degrees. Not many because the fan's turned off now. So that is where you get this from. So github.com/raphael/win11dbloat. Again, if you're going to use it, then certainly do check on it. It's been out for a long time and people have been pretty happy with it overall. Tells you what it does there, all the stuff, default modes, etc. I would advise against using the default mode. I think it's a much better idea to go through and check it out for yourselves. Markovsky says put CPU stress test on and watch it fly up. Right, actually, let's do that as an example. So this application is called Chamomile, and currently the cooling mode is set to off. So this is just the default settings. So let's open up CPU Z, and we'll click on yes. And you see we're up to 55 degrees already. We're not even doing anything. We've only just opened the program. So we go into bench. And let's put on stress CPU.
NX79 says CTT script is so much better than this.
I will try that. Make a note of it, Kath. Thanks for that. I will have a look at that script. PenX. Much appreciated. So, I've just looked down at my CPU. So we're at 85 degrees. And no doubt we will be thermal throttling anytime soon. 86. As you can see, things are getting a little bit on the toasty side already. So this is just a reasonably simple test. So let's lift the laptop up, see if I can get any cooler air into it. Nope, I'm literally lifting this up. I'll show you the camera. I was lifting that up, so it should be pulling in cold air from underneath, and we're at 90 degrees. It's things are not going well.
Says anyone want to lay odds that Microsoft re-enable all of that with an next update?
They probably will. Right, let's go into cooling mode. And there we go. Our temps are dropping very rapidly. Now the performance will be as well. So I don't want to kind of give you any sort of false illusion that this is actually going to be making your system any faster. It will make it a little bit slower. Dave, stop it. But you can see we've gone from 90 degrees and we'll probably end up at about 50 or so.
Okay, get in a box.
And possibly the fan will turn off as well.
Sit in the box.
But if I get closer, you can see. You can hear the fan almost turning off. Still got a little way to go. But there we go. We're running CPU Z stress test. And on our tiny little laptop, we're at 56 degrees and dropping. Obviously it's going to be trying to disperse some of that heat. But I think that is impressive. We've gone from almost 90 degrees down to almost 50. They should call it cooking mode. Yeah, it's not far off. So I think we're going to stabilize there, about 55, 56 degrees. So just as a comparison now, let's turn cooling mode off. And boom, we're up to 85, 87, 80, 90, 91. I think it won't get any higher than 90. I think 90 is the thermal throttle point on this particular unit. Performance is improving a little bit, but not dramatically. But yeah, 89 degrees C.
O'Reilly asked a question.
What was O'Reilly's question? Oh, the GitHub thing. Chris Titus Tech. I have seen that.
Does the DEBLOAT script lack the customization?
I don't know. I think it's got a good amount of customization personally, if that's what you're asking. I'm not too sure what you're really asking there. O'Reilly also says, question, Dan Mike, I've been trying to get rid of that Copilot icon in that search pop-up box from the taskbar for my new kit at work. I might have to use that script. Well, it's pretty good. And oh crap, I just looked down. We are at 93 degrees on our processor. That poor little processor. Right, let's turn cooling mode back on, because that's just ridiculous. I can't be running at 93 degrees. And there we go, we're down to 80 and falling. And the fan noise is going down. Rasher says, what's cooling mode doing to achieve that so quick? It's basically just reducing the clock speed and not allowing it to boost. So in normal use, it's fine. Like when I was doing the video for the script earlier on that you were watching, I had cooling mode enabled, so you never heard the fans. But it didn't affect performance. We still were able to do what we needed to do when we needed to do it. So let's stop that.
Riley says, what I mean is being able to pin Cine R23 to the start menu and taskbar by telling that script to do it.
You might be able to, yeah. I think if you know how to do scripting, you can probably add it to the script. You could probably configure your own script. I'm pretty sure that is a thing. It's designed so you can configure the script to install or uninstall whatever you want to. And then you could run it as like default script to run how you want to run the script.
William Bodie asked something earlier.
Let's go back to there. So yeah, we're at 44 degrees on the laptop again now, which is pretty good. This little thing normally runs, just idling would be in the kind of 50s normally. But to be about 5 to 10 degrees cooler just on idle, when it's not really doing anything, is pretty impressive. Alright, he says, I'm not sure if it can do that much customization. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. William Bodie says, question, does this program work with Intel and NVIDIA? Yes, it works with any processor.
There was one before that. Can William put it in again if he still needs it?
What was the other question you had, William? It looks like you've retracted the message. Oh, I'm trying to...
I think it was quite a way back up.
All right. So if there's any questions you've asked while we were doing that, please put them in again. And I will try and answer them. David Underhill, Microsoft notified user has attempted to remove Bing, so MS knows how to reinstall for the next update. Yeah, that is the thing with these scripts. It's always that thing. We're playing whack-a-mole, aren't we? We're always doing that as Windows users, or for anything like Android, iPhone, whatever it is. Whenever you make any tweaks to the system, you're kind of always in the back of your mind thinking, well, next Windows update, what's going to happen? You just don't know. So you kind of have to just take it on face value. Yes, you might need to run the script again, but like what's that? A couple of minutes out of your day. And once you've done it once or twice, you kind of become a bit more used to it and you know what you want to remove, what you don't, what you can do. So yeah, I'm overall, I've got to say I'm pretty happy with that script. I'm also very happy with the Chamomile app. It's perfect for this laptop. This laptop, you've probably seen it on previous streams where I tried to upgrade the cooling solution. There isn't a lot you can do. The cooling options on the bottom is basically that very, very, very small little grill there, which doesn't do really anything at all. So I wanted to clean it out or to do something or to just enlarge in those holes, but that means ruining the laptop, and I didn't really want to do that. So installing the Camel app has been somewhat of a blessing.
Sin, what is the value of processes in Task Manager? Thank you.
At the moment, let's have a look. Alt Control Delete Task Manager. Let's see. Processes. What do you want? How many processes are running?
What is the value of processes in Task Manager?
4% or 3%. I'll put it on the screen. There you go. And Chamomile is actually one of the ones which is at the top, so that's using like 1%. But yeah, we're down to about 3%. Memory usage has gone down as well, 17%. That's quite low. But yeah, CPU usage is very low. In fact, Task Manager is one of the top ones. If we had that closed, it would be even lower.
Will ARM CPUs conquer against Intel and AMD?
I don't think so. Maybe eventually they might do, but I'm not entirely sure. So if we actually turn off Chamomile, we'll exit that. Yep. And we'll see what the CPU usage goes up to. It should spike a little bit, but then it should drop down. So yeah, after we've debloated Windows, our CPU usage is about 2%. Doesn't seem to be changing much. Task Manager is like a percentage of that, but oh, there we go, 1%, 2%. That's pretty impressive, I think, honestly.
Riley says my CPU is at 3% watching this. And Baz says Shift Control Escape for Task Manager.
Shift Control Escape. Let's try that. I always forget that one.
Do you? That's the only one I remember.
Shift Control Escape. Ah, there we go.
You should have asked.
Yeah, I can never remember it. Shift Control Escape. Okay, well done. Thank you.
Don't thank me. Thank Baz.
Thank Baz. Yeah, I don't know why I never remember that one. Markovsky says Microsoft thinks that you want to break Windows. They don't understand the word customize. I know.
Damon says I always adjust CPU boost modes on laptops to less aggressive and off on battery.
Excellent. Windows Defender is a massive resource hog. It can be, especially if it's scanning, but I think I'd rather have it on than not. But yeah, that's even with the Chamomile disabled, it's actually still running quite cool. Like 2 or 3%. Happy days. So there we go. Hopefully tonight's stream has been a little bit educational, and I've managed to get some of that recall stuff off my chest, which has been bugging me. Aljaz, or Aljaz, yeah, if I pronounce that right, I don't know. He says, I think the saying ARM is more for phone, tablet, PC, or TV CPU. Yeah, I think you're right. Rick H has sent us a super chat. Thank you very much, Rick H.
Sorry, Dave. I'm not coming to
Coming in with $5 there. It says cult funds for yellow sticker. Yummies. Enjoy. Thank you very much, Rick H. Much appreciated.
Dave says thanks.
Dave says thanks as well.
What do you say to Rick? Come on, Dave.
James Mussolini says Windows key and D when I work on people's cluttered desktops. Windows key and D, what's that do? Windows key and D. Oh, it hasn't done anything. I suppose I've got no windows open. Kieran says, Kath, can you ask Mike my question? What was your question?
He had a question, what printer have you got? But I put it in.
Oh, did you?
I answered him.
Yeah, printer.
A1.
Oh, there we go. Yes, the A1 Mini.
What's the brand? I did put all that in. I copied and pasted.
Then I asked if you ever used ASA or
Broadband
ABS
labs.
filament. I use PLA filament for the reason that I don't really use the 3D printer at all. It's at the moment it's in a precarious position. It's on top of one of the old IKEA tables from the studio in the other room. And because we've been having some decorating work done and I did the back in, etc., etc., I just got to the point where I just haven't had the inclination to do any 3D printing. I still struggle with the software to some extent. I don't know what it is. I've got some sort of mental block when it comes to designing and making things. I've got all these ideas of things I want to make with the 3D printer. I just really struggle to get my ideas into an application to actually print them. But it'll come eventually, but it's just finding the time. Trying to do a video every day and all that other stuff is pretty tricky. Minimize all windows. Gotcha. Thank you, James. Dave Anderson says Bamboo Labs got good prices for Black Friday. Still starting Monday. When is Black Friday? Hey Siri.
It's November, isn't it, sometime?
When is Black Friday?
Black Friday is on Friday the 29th of November, 2024.
29th of November. They're starting early.
Black Friday sales in January soon, I expect.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
All year until November.
Kieran says, I use so much PETG. PETG is more heat resistant, so you could make a new bottom for the laptop. Just don't use PLA because it'll give you a soggy bottom. I wonder actually if there is, I don't know if there would be. This is a HP 255 G8, I think it is.
45, isn't it?
245 G8 or G7. I never remember.
Might not be. That might be the
I can't see the bottom because it's too bloody small. But yeah, if there is a 3D thing I can print, actually I don't think no, I can't print that anyway because my print bed's too small.
Can't you get one
Because
together like a jigsaw?
I think mine does 180 mil, and that is going to be much bigger. Yeah, I'd have to stick 2 and a bit together.
Make it like a jigsaw.
Yeah, jigsaw base, that'd be nice and strong. Kieran says, and Bamboo Lab are the best printers. I do, to be honest with you, I was thinking that I was going to have trouble with it, trying to get it to work in, but it's actually quite good software. And for someone who's a complete novice, it's not too bad.
They sell my keyboard for me.
Okay, so does anybody else want to see anything in the Windows DEBLOAT master? I was looking actually to see if there's like an undo button.
What does Karen mean?
That'd
So
be
can't
nice.
they even wrong? What, that I got the name of the printer right?
I don't know.
I copied and pasted it from the video.
James says MS Info 36/sys information will tell you the model's generation and type. Let's have a look. I haven't got a search button now. MS Info 32.
Can I spin the camera around a little bit?
HP 245 G8. Thanks, James.
Can I just spin it around to show Dave?
Where is he?
He's just behind the monitor.
Yeah.
It was Dave
It was Dave.
meowing. I don't want to disturb him or he'll be meowing again. Do you have your monitor on? Like that, yeah?
Yeah. I think so.
Have a look, is that right?
Yeah, you can just about see it on the screen, that's right, yeah. That's for those of you who don't know why I look this way, it's because I've got my screen with the text
You probably
on.
know that now because he saw a flash of it.
Dave, the life of the stream. He is something like that. Right, I'm going to see... Actually, no, I think I'm done here. Right, so I can shut this down now because that is done. I'm glad I've got that done, actually. That Windows optimization tool is really good. I like it a lot. Some people have said there's one from Chris Titus, is it? Which I think someone else said earlier. Skystalker says you'll regret not having the search button now, Mike. I was wondering about that. My most used feature of Windows 11. I can always turn it back on. Right, that is that done. So I can unplug that and get this out of the way. It's driving me a bit mad.
Computers and cats.
Yeah, I just read that. There we go.
We have 6 cats.
We have got 6 cats, so it's
I've got one in front of my keyboard.
William Bodie says, question, did Kath or Mike say happy birthday to Davy Jones and give him a hug? Yeah, we have loads of times.
Oh, Dave.
James says, Mike, try the battery report button on my utility. Send it to your laptop battery reports. Quick to desktop. I will have to do that actually. Have I got, I don't think I've got Discord on here. So I could try it, show it. I got a feeling I took Discord off of here. I'll fire it back up and have a look. This thing's super annoying with the power button. It's got like a really mushy power button. You never know if you've actually pressed it or not until a couple of seconds later you get the logo.
A bit like the washing machine.
It's almost like you've got to press and hold it sometimes. Oh, now it's working. HP. Let's have a look. Ira Wolfman says it's like using Windows XP again. I've got Discord on here. Yeah, I need my search button back actually. I'm gonna see if I can actually put my search button back. Taskbar settings. Yes, actually I can plug that back in, can't I? There we go. Is that working? Yeah, there we go. So if you do want to put your taskbar search back on, you can do, because it's just going to the personalization and you can put a search box in, I think. There we go. So I might leave that in. But it's still much nicer. You ain't got other nonsense going on. Got our search button. I do actually quite like the search down there. It's quite useful. Well, I've got no internet at the moment, it says. Oh, that's why nothing was coming up, was it? Have I got Discord? No, no Discord on here. Right, let's shut that down. It does feel actually quite snappy now. There we go, let's go back to the main camera. Mike's unboxing AI edition. Is that off? Yeah, that'll do. Right, what else we got? So there's other things I got sent this week which we can have a quick look unboxing wise, just to pad out some time. So I finished that a little bit earlier than I was expecting. Let's unplug that. Bloody plug stuff. Things plugged in everywhere. Let's move that out of the way. So we've got some fans sent in from our good friends at InWin. Do you remember that? I was saying that InWin, we haven't heard from them for ages.
You said last week.
And yeah, this is what they've sent us, some actual new fans. These are actually quite interesting. These are the Lynx LN120s, or the Lynx LN120P. Actually, what are the 120Ps? I don't know what they are. Oh, that's the white version. Why don't they call them the LM120B and the LM120W? That would make a lot more sense. So the LM120s are the black one, and the LM120P are the white ones. So that's a little bit confusing to start with. Let's have a look on the overhead camera. You can see what is going on here. So come in a very unusual sized box, but there's a pretty good reason for that. And that is because these are Go cable free fans. So they come pre-installed in the box, pretty much ready to go. And these are connected by a USB Type-C style connection. So these are daisy chainable fans, as you can see. And you can either use them as a 120, you can use them as a 240, or you can use them as a 360. And it comes with a little fly lead, so you can actually connect up the fans. So say two of them on a radiator, and then maybe another one at the back.
Not sure that camera's working, Mike.
Oh, bloody hell.
Osbot.
Feckin' now.
They're asking who Osbot is. DB.
Hello. So I'm not sure how much of that you missed, probably all of it. Anyway, so this is what they look like. So you've got USB Type-C style connection on the fans, and they just pull apart. So you've got connectivity there, so you can use like a single 120, or you can put them together to make a 240, and obviously a 360 as well, if you need to. And they also come with a little fly lead, so if you want to separate them, so if you've got a setup that, I don't know, you've got fans a little bit further away, or you need to do something a bit different, where does that go there? There we go. And then you can plug that into the other end here, which is that one there. Oh, come on. There we go. Hang on, what am I doing wrong here? Am I being stupid? There is the possibility of that. Oh yeah, there we go. So you can plug in, and you can have them like on a little bit of a extended daisy chain. So like two in the top, one in the back, or however. And inside of this little box, got all your mounting equipment, etc, etc. But you've also got the other cable. So this is the one to connect it up to your system, he says, on that one there. So you do have to have a little bit of forward planning to work out where you're going to put them for connection purposes, because you might want to have this connected into that one, in which case you'd have to kind of go into there first of all, and then from there. No, that doesn't work, does it? Yeah, I'm trying to work out. You must be able to daisy chain these easier.
Reversible?
They're not reversible. Oh, of course. That one will go into there now, won't it? So yeah, because they're not all USB to USB, they're USB male to female. So you do have to kind of think about that a little bit. But there you go. So you've got your fans, and then on the other end, you've got your normal 4-pin PWM.
How much do they cost? And
your addressable RGB. Price-wise, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea. I have no idea at all. But I'm going to plug them in, and we'll take a little look. I'll have to do it on the PC behind me.
Aaron Wolfman's glad that he can see you now. You said 2 in the front and 1 in the back.
Whee! That's an offer you don't get every day, innit? Well, at least I hope you don't.
Are you changing camera?
I will be shortly. Unfortunately, that's a little bit too far away. Oh, that's not worked. This in my head, this all worked. Sorry. Oh, don't buy that one. That's broken.
Or how did anything break these?
Yeah. I've already broken one set.
How many does this chain support, Mike?
That also is a very good question. I am not sure at the moment.
There's something with Go cable free on the box. Seems like there's a few cables.
I know where you're coming from. Right, there you go. So you see, lit up. Actually, a nice blade design, and you've got a little bit of light bleeding through the sides. And actually, even if you have them reversed, they still look quite nice as well.
Should I turn the light off?
Yeah, you could do. And also the connection on the side shows you when they're actually powered. There's a little InWin logo. I think they've done a really nice job on those. The LEDs are pretty good.
They look so much better in real life than camera.
They do look better in real life, yeah, 100%. And if I plug these together, and there we go. We have more fans. I've got them set to such a low speed, they don't want to start spinning. I think I've broken one. Oh, it's that bit of bloody label off there. There we go. So yeah, you can extend out the daisy chain if you want to. They're actually really quiet. They're not on full blast, but
you can summon Kev.
Kev? Which Kev?
Clip Tech.
Click set Kev. How am I going to do that?
With your fans. Looking dumber.
I can't stretch them around that far. Well, anyway. Yeah, I think they look amazing. I don't know what it is, right? Kath, if you go onto the camera, press the ISO button.
Oh.
And if you change the ISO, you'll be able to see the colours much better.
Whereabouts is it?
On top. It says ISO. There's 3 buttons next to each other.
Yeah.
Press ISO.
Yeah.
And then twist the dial or change it.
Dial. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them.
Any of them.
It doesn't matter. Just turn one and you'll see it change in darkness.
Oh, I'll turn. Is that it?
I think you've turned the camera off. Yeah, you've turned... Oh, God.
Well, you must know which one it is.
Well, I should, but there's this thing called reading.
Well, I don't know what C1 means.
Oh, you're changing that?
Yeah.
That's the bloody
That's why I
dial.
asked you this one and you said, yeah, any of them.
Is it back on movie mode now?
You see how else it was?
Oh, right, okay. So, ISO, then twist that one. So, that should be better. Hopefully. So, can you see the colours now? Yeah, that's better. If you take into consideration the ones in the PC already, they seem a little bit brighter and a bit more colourful, I think, personally. But it's hard to tell in this lighting, obviously. Anyway, there you go. Mic after dark.
Right, now what do I do?
Press the ISO button, then choose auto.
What, on screen?
Yeah, because at the bottom it should say 100 at the moment, or 120.
160.
So change it to auto.
Where, how?
The front control button,
This one.
yeah, twist it. You should have one that says auto.
Done.
See, you're bloody expert now. Has that got brighter?
Oh.
It will do. There you go. Anyway, a work in progress. So unplug those, and I'll plug the other ones back in now. There we go. Close up. So there you go. There are the InWin Lynx fans. I will be doing a video on them. Price-wise, I have no idea. If actually someone wants to look them up, let me know, because I've not even looked as far as that yet. It's been a bit of a busy week this week. Many things going on, so I haven't got around to doing hardly any of the prep that I would normally have done. But I thought, well, they're quite nice fans, and I quite like to show them what they're like.
You can laugh at me, I don't mind. I'm rubbish on the camera.
David's benchmark says that's one to fug your PC mic. I don't understand what that is, but anyway.
The connection plugs look a lot.
Cheers, Aletta.
Large side.
The what? Sorry, the.
Well, what?
Wolfman says, I remember buying LED red fans back in the day and it always looked pink. Now we get so many colours we don't know what we want. Yeah, that's true, yeah. The options are a little bit too much sometimes, aren't they? The connection plugs on those look on the large size. Well, the thing is, they are... Actually, let me get you a close-up. So I probably have not done this justice at all. So, can you see that now? You can see the connections. So they're like a USB-C.
You plugged your fans in when the PC was on.
Oh, right. Oh, that's fine.
What are they called again?
These are called the InWin LN120s, part of the Lynx range of fans. Not as in Lynx, the fragrance that school canteens smell of. I do like that. The area we live in, there's quite a lot of schools, and there's a local school, and we normally go to the shops around about school kicking out time. And it's funny because you get like a group of kids walk by and all you can smell is like Lynx Africa. Oh dear. We've all been there though, haven't we? As youngsters. So yeah, the fans. I should actually have a look and see what the price is. If no one's done it already. Has anyone done it yet? Viali says, they do look nice. Stick with Tismrit. And Kath's going to show me something now. You're going to show me some excitement on the phone? Is it cat pics? No. Super chat donation come in from Stuart Cleary. Thank you very much for your £20 donation. And Stuart says, nice one, Mike and Kath. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So I just read that comment there. Ira Open says the 3-pack is $49.99. Now, is that American dollars or Canadian dollars? Andy Archer says Andy Archer. Henry Cooper's Brute. Yeah, the old Brute 33 from Fabergé. Ironically, Fabergé used to do Lynx as well. Lynx and Brute were done by the same company.
Endocrine disruptors.
It's from the InWin website. Okay, fair enough. Alright, says, nah, Mike's an expert. He has trained his PC like circus animals. He can connect up fans on the fly and they don't break. Yet. They might do. It's from the InWin website. Let's have a look, see if I can find them anywhere else. So, InWin links. LN120. InWin store. Let's...
Trent, a man at work was wearing Brute ones once and they thought he had come into work after being on the piss, did a test on him and it was his aftershave.
Brilliant. InWin store. Yeah, looks like they're not available anywhere else at the moment other than InWin Direct. So yeah, $49. So that's the US store. So that is, I'd imagine in the UK they're probably going to be about £40. 50 quid for 3 fans. They are very quiet and they are very powerful. But there is a lot of competition on the market right now. And they are doing something which is slightly unique in the fact that they are using that kind of USB Type-C style connector and having a little bit of a logo on them as well. And also in the middle, I didn't really show you that because I couldn't get them close enough to the camera, but in the middle of the fan, there's like this hypnotic kind of pattern that goes on in the center circle. But you'll see that when we do the full review. But yeah, 50 quid. I'm a little bit unsure about that. Let's say there is a lot of competition on the market. Even from people like, you've got Thermaltake with their CT120EX. You've also got Arctic to some extent. Although Arctic are... I've said this in a review recently actually when I was filming it. What do you think about Arctic as a brand? Now generally on the whole, I think most people have got to be pretty kind of okay with Arctic. They do a lot of good things and their customer service is good and all that kind of stuff. And they've got some good products. But it does seem they get to a point where it's kind of like, it's like, this is what we do. Take it or leave it sort of thing. So you've got people like Thermaltake and Thermalright, Corsair, etc., etc., who make an absolute ton of different products, different prices, different specs, different quantities, and all that kind of stuff. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. Like Corsair definitely do that. Loads of different fans, loads of different variations of radiators and AIOs and that. But Arctic are kind of like, right, we've made the Freezer 360 version 3. That's kind of it. So yeah, you can get RGB or non-RGB. You get black and white, that's kind of it. But there's no real options like the pump heads. No different pump heads, no different configurations, no magnetic fans. I'm surprised Arctic haven't done magnetic fans. Because for me, that is the one thing which does stop me buying Arctic fans at the moment, is I don't like the way they do their cabling. And all that daisy chaining nonsense is an absolute pain in the ass. I'm past having loads and loads of cables in my system. Unless the fans are literally dirt cheap. But they generally aren't, so. What's the matter?
We'll try and get a word in.
Go on.
What's the RPM speed?
RPM speed of these, 2500 at the top end. And I think I've got them down to about 500 I'm not sure what it actually says on the box. Sorry, no, 2200. My mistake, plus or minus 10% RPM. Because I'm sure I saw them up to about 2300. And airflow, 25.95 up to 61.2 CFM. And we're looking at air pressure between 0.51 and 3.04 H2O. And noise levels between 17.2 and 25.5. Nice. I like them. I like the fact that they've put a little bit of RGB on the side. Something which I don't like about the CT120 fans, the EX, is they're solid. Now they do look nice, and there's like, it gives you a nice crisp look to it, but I'd love to be able to see a bit of RGB on the sides. Just a bit of a cutout or something. But, yeah, kind of is what it is, I guess. Okie dokie. Aletta says, it's hard to beat the Arctic P14 fans. I cut and spliced the cables myself to have only one cable to plug in. Yeah, I think that's something that Arctic should have done. They need to work on some kind of linking technology to just, I don't know, take away that cabling nightmare. Because at the moment, Arctic, the great fans, great performance, they look nice, price is pretty good, just the connections are a bit of a pain. Rasher says, never used Arctic products. They do some pretty good stuff. Although I think at some points they did get a little bit kind of, they believed their own hype a little bit too much. And then they had to backtrack and make things like half price, which kind of worked out well. Furkan says, good night, sir. Thank you very much. Markovsky says, I usually smell of Old Spice a couple of days after a curry. Nice. So I think the last thing we need to talk about is the new AMD chipsets, the X870 and X870E. What are your thoughts on it? Are you disappointed? Are you disappointed with the 9000 series processors as well? Have you bought one? Are you planning on buying one? What is the deal? What are your thoughts? I'll be honest with you, I am somewhat... I won't say disappointed, because I kind of knew it was going to happen, so it's like, whatever. But it just seems that motherboards seem to be getting vastly, vastly more expensive, but processors don't seem to be getting like night and day difference faster. All we seem to be getting is more connectivity, so more PCI Express lanes, more USB speeds, and for probably 90% of people, you couldn't care less. You really couldn't. Like, there's only one person I know who was disappointed that there wasn't going to be two PCIe Express graphics slots that both supported times X16 speeds. So, like, why do we don't really need extra PCI Express bandwidth. I think most of us would trade up PCI Express and USB for a faster processor. I think so. Mookie MC says underwhelmed. I think that pretty much sums it up. Aletta says, I don't know anything about the new stuff as I'm still happy with my AM4 systems. I think that is also a general consensus, yeah. If you're on AM4 at the moment, there's literally no reason to upgrade your system. Because you still got really great DDR4 prices. The performance is, like, if you get the 5800X3D, it's fantastic. It really is. Like, why would you spend all that extra money going for like a 7800X3D? And the motherboard tax, and the DDR5 tax. There's absolutely no point. And if the 5000 series from NVIDIA or the 8000 series from AMD isn't PCI Express Gen 5, then the new generation is, again, more pointless than it was originally. It makes no sense at all. William Bodie says, Kath, can Furkan get on Mub Discord? Yeah, should be able to. I'll leave the link in the chat. The only reason, some people have been saying recently they can't get on the Discord, and there is some security things in place. So if your Discord account hasn't got an attached phone number or has passed the 2FA, so two-factor authentication, We are not allowing you in because it's way too easy for your account to be hacked or for it to be like a scam account. So we do have that restriction in place. David Underhill says 870 chipsets are amazing. They are amazing in terms of what they offer and what they can do, but do we need it? It's like Concorde was amazing, but nobody needed it, so it got basically mothballed. It was a thing of like marvel for engineering, but utterly pointless. So I'll look through chat. Oh, he did ask for something. Furkan says, sorry, I cannot join the Discord due to your country. Sorry, due to our country banned Discord last week. Oh dear. You might have to use a VPN. Where are we at? Furkan says, I will handle it. Thank you again. By the way, nice watch. So many people comment on the watch. It's a cheap watch. It costs like 20 or 30 quid on Amazon.
20, I think.
I think it was.
$19.99.
I think it's $19.99. It's the cheapest watch I've had in years, and I like. It's actually quite nice. I like it because if it gets damaged, I don't really care too much. But it's it looks a lot nicer than it actually is. But it tells the time, so it's all good. David Under says VPNs data mine. I know. Phil Stodd, politics. Why can't we all just get along? Yeah, I think that will be really evident in about 2 weeks' time.
19 days, isn't it?
Yeah. Furkan says, I just want to ask you a question about Wi-Fi 7. Bought an X870 Tomahawk Wi-Fi. Windows 11 cannot set up drivers. Do you have any idea? Right. Yeah, getting this a lot actually. So this is pretty good. Oh yeah, that's the one. Biden watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
If you've got a new PC and you've got Windows 11 or 10 and it hasn't got the built-in drivers for your Wi-Fi or your Ethernet, what you're going to need to do is get a USB stick, go onto another computer which has got access to the internet, go to the website for the motherboard. So in this instance, it's going to be the MSI website for the Tomahawk. Go into the drivers and download support section and just download the drivers onto a USB, ideally like the Ethernet, might as well do the chipset driver as well, the Wi-Fi drivers, stick them all on a USB drive, take that out of your working system, then go over to your new system, and then you can install the drivers from there. Someone else had that yesterday in Discord as well. It's getting more and more common. Cheers, Charles. You say Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Solo94. So what is the consensus about using this app to debloat versus the famous CTT WinUtil? To be honest with you, I've never used the Chris Titus WinUtil. So if you want to use that, use that. I'm guessing they're going to be a very similar thing. There's only so many ways you can cook a goose. So yeah, I've not used it. I might give it a go. People have been talking about it. I'm not sure whether it's got more features, less features. Honestly, never used it. Maybe I'll do that in a some sort of follow-up video. And if it's better, then we'll recommend that instead. Markovsky says, watches are great unless you're a surgeon and your watch goes missing. True. Marbury says, watch the SH1T hit the fan in 2 weeks. Yeah, I think so. Zero Defect says, MicroWin would be a good video mic. What is MicroWin? Is that like a cut down mini Windows installation?
Shall I write that down?
Okay.
What's it called? MicroWin?
Yeah, and also Chris Titus Tech Tool.
I've sent you the link
Oh,
of
okay.
that on Discord. What's it called? MicroWin.
Yes. Arnold Albert's asking, what's the difference between BitLocker and device encryption on Windows 11? Should they be enabled? Device encryption is the same as BitLocker. I think device encryption basically enables BitLocker. I'm pretty sure. I generally don't enable those, to be honest with you. The thing is with BitLocker and any sort of device encryption is the fact that you've got to be really careful, because if you encrypt your data and you don't have the key to decrypt your data should you ever need to, you're basically screwed. There are sort of ways around it. So if you have a separate backup solution like a NAS, and you back up your data from your PC to the NAS and it's kind of decrypted on the way, then that's okay because you've still got access to your data. But if you're doing file encryption and you're just exporting that to a USB drive, or you're cloning to another drive, you're going to need that decryption key. So it is a little bit problematic. I generally, more times than not, will disable encryption. But there are obviously security concerns should your device get stolen or your drive get stolen. Solar 94 says MicroWin is a subcategory of CTT Win utility where it does certain scripts before the ISO creation and injects them. Okay. Actually, I think I did see a video on that Chris Titus Tech tool thing. Does it, because it downloads the ISO and you can install from the ISO then after you've created it, is that right? So it's more of a thing you do before the install rather than after? I need to look into it more. James Messina says, BitLocker sucks if you lose that key. Yeah. O'Reilly says, device encryption can be on and BitLocker can be off for all drives. Okay. I need to look into that device encryption. I'm not sure what the difference is between device encryption and BitLocker. I thought they were the same thing. I could be wrong. Phil Stoll says, when you are encrypted, you can generate the decryption key to save before making changes. Yeah, but that's the thing. People generally, like, the time that you need your decryption key is normally the worst possible time. Like if you've lost, or your hardware's gone pear-shaped and you have to do like a reinstall or something. Baz is coming with a £5 super chat and says, dance like there's no one watching, encrypt like everyone's watching. That needs to go on a t-shirt. That's a pretty good slogan. And that's true, yeah. Markovsky says your BitLocker key is in your Microsoft account settings, which means you have to have your Microsoft account running to retrieve it. They ain't daft. True. Very true. Dutch Jan says, I now have a USB stick with which I can install Windows 11 on PCs that do not meet the conditions. Awesome stuff. Ira Wolfman says you need TPM for device encryption. BitLocker is a key. Okay. Yeah, I don't really understand encryption and BitLocker and all that stuff very well. I think it's because I've tried to avoid it because it's just it's asking for trouble in a lot of instances. Okay, so I think we are pretty much running towards the end of the stream here. So if you've got any last minute questions or anything you want to have your say on, this is the time. Make your comments visible in that chat now, and we'll discuss anything that you think needs discussing. And I'm sure there's going to be some questions. It's always the way. It's like when you go to a shop and buy something, and you buy something, and you think there's something else I wanted to buy. Then you leave the shop and then you think, oh, bollocks, I should have bought such and such. And that's what the time is now. You watch this you watch this stream, and then you think, oh, I wish I'd have asked Mike such and such.
But we're on Discord.
We're on Discord, so you can always ask there. So O'Reilly says, device encryption is a Windows feature that enables BitLocker encryption automatically for the operating system, drive and fixed drives. So isn't that the same as just enabling BitLocker though? Isn't it just having two different versions of control panel. It's like two ways of doing the same thing. Alessa says, no questions here, I know everything, except the stuff I don't want to know about. Good for you. Aletta, what are your predictions for your state of Ohio in the upcoming election? Let's get political. Chris Hartford, have you noticed any benefits from 24H2? Hard to say if I would say benefits. I like the overall look and feel, if that is a thing. I like the way that Windows Explorer looks now. I think that was an improvement, although I have then tweaked it with the Win DEBLOAT tool, so that is kind of a moot point. It feels a little bit snappier, I would say, or it did feel snappier even before I did the DEBLOAT on it. So I think they probably looked at the code base a little bit. I think that's more of what's gone on under the hood. They've kind of maybe streamlined some of the processes, possibly. O'Reilly says, no benefits in 24H2 for me, just more confusing crap for me to have to understand. Mookie MC says, will you do any holiday gift guide videos ahead of the holiday season? To be honest with you, I don't think we've ever really done those. We do like the kind of budget PC build guides. That is about it. I know things like ideal gifts or tech ideas under £50 is always quite a good one, which people like, but it's really difficult because we're in the UK. We have obviously Amazon UK and various other UK suppliers, and it's hard to really go for the kind of the global market or the worldwide market because we are a small little island and things are very different here, and taxes and what have you. So no, generally I would say probably not. We might do. We'll see what happens. Generally there's so many like crap sales on. There's nothing really which is like, wow, I've got to get this. So most of the things that we find of any value generally end up in the bargains chat in the Discord. It's very rare we make any kind of roundup videos about that sort of stuff. Alessa says, America is not a democracy, so the public vote means nothing. The president is elected by the electoral college. Yeah, I'm not too sure how that works. It's a bit of a weird thing. We've got the same sort of thing here, like the first past the post thing, which, yeah, I don't understand politics, really. I don't think anyone does. If you claim to know politics or know what politics is about, you're probably missing the point. Solo94 says, I got a 10% increased FPS in Cyberpunk on my 7600X from H2, 24H2. Yeah, I think it was, I noticed that it just seems smoother. There has been some under the hood improvements in the graphics engine, I believe, as well. There's support for a new graphics driver standard, I believe. The new printer driver thing seems pretty good as well. But not many people print these days. We print things reasonably, like a couple of things a week, if that, but not in any great amount. Phil Stodd says, I'm waiting for Microsoft to fix all the bugs before upgrading. Those bugs, when they get fixed, will just be replaced with new bugs. Newer, better bugs. David Andrew says, Amazon here in Australia is poor for having good prices for PC parts. John Sullivan, I haven't even got 24H2 yet on any of my builds. I don't think you're missing out on anything. It's not like a deal breaker that you kind of like, you really need it because it's going to be massively improving performance. It's not really that sort of upgrade, but it does feel smooth, I think. Stability wise, I would be very hard pressed to say that it's any better or any worse, because in general I would say my systems are very, very responsive and very good. I have noticed very recently, and I'm not sure whether it's a Chrome thing or not, but it does seem to be, but I find Chrome crashes a lot more frequently now than it used to. And quite often I'll go to a website and it'll just time out, which I didn't used to get previously, but that was happening more so with 23H2 as well. So I think it's more of a Chrome thing. There's a lot of internet standards going on in the background that are changing, and the way that websites interact, like data-wise. And I think there's a lot of sites which are struggling to catch up and to make the back ends work as they're supposed to. So that's why you're getting some crashes on websites, I think. Mookie says Ohio will probably go to Republicans since the vice president candidate on the Republican side is Ohio US Senator.
Hello, Candy.
The Real Rambo 187. Any idea why when I tried to factory reset my PC, it kept failing with an error stating my PC doesn't meet the requirements? If it's Windows 11, I'm not entirely sure why that might have been. If you installed the PC originally, then I don't know. If you use something like Rufus to get Windows 11 to install on your device, maybe it didn't support TPM, maybe Secure Boot was turned off or whatever, then maybe if you're trying to do a fresh install and you're not using a Rufus disk or some custom disk made which gets around those things, that could be it. Hard to say. You can check out on our Discord. I'll put links in the chat. Rambo, if you want to check that out, you're more than welcome to post more questions and get more detailed answers over on our Discord. Baz says, if you like Chrome but don't want Google tracking everything, use Brave. I am starting to think that I might start using Brave as a browser. Again, I'm so used to using Chrome. Like Outlook, Chrome, Windows 11. It's basically my life. But I would like to try Brave, I think. Although I do have my concerns that Brave has been hyped up to be something that it's possibly not, saying that how secure it is and all that. Because it's only going to be as secure as the websites you're using. And most websites aren't that secure, so it's kind of, yeah.
And it's like most things, they're all owned by the same people.
Yeah, that's true.
Eventually, when you break it all down. Like DuckDuckGo was meant to be the one, wasn't it?
Nick Barnes says, what do you feel is the minimum broadband speeds necessary, as sometimes YouTube and Discovery buffer on the TV apps, although PC mostly seems fine? That is a good question. The minimum, it depends what resolution you're watching at, and also the quality as well. So on some things, like if you're watching Amazon movies or Amazon Prime Video, you can choose the kind of quality settings, so like low, quality, or best. So if you've not got a lot of bandwidth, or you are getting the occasional buffer, you can change the quality a little bit. Likewise in YouTube, if you're getting the occasional buffer when you're maybe in, I don't know, 1440p or 1080, you can always knock it down a little bit to like 720 or something. I guess most people will watch, I don't know, I tend to watch YouTube kind of in the app, so I've got chat on the side or comments underneath, so I never watch the full screen of a video, so I could quite easily turn the quality down, I think, and get a better thing. But in terms of the actual internet speeds, it's a really difficult thing, because unless your device is the only device connected to your network, then you never really know what's going on in the background. Some of you probably remember years ago when we first started doing streams, I would start doing a stream and then I'd try and show something in Windows Update, or I'd turn another PC on and then it would start doing Windows Update and the stream would start buffering because we didn't have enough bandwidth. So it's going to come down to what you've actually got connected to your network, which is going to dictate. So if you've got like a couple of PCs in the house and you've got a couple of people at home and they're all using the computer, there could be a Steam download, it could be Windows Update, it could be streaming services. You're all kind of pulling away or getting something from that data pipeline. So what might be adequate for a single user watching just a single device, when you've got multiple users, multiple devices, it's kind of, well, basically get as much as you can pay for if you want a smooth service, or make sure that everyone's slightly restricted on what resolutions and quality settings they can have. Mookie MC says, am I the only one who uses more than one browser on a regular basis? I use Brave, Edge and Firefox. Kath uses Edge and Chrome.
Only because I'm logged in on one as me and one as Mike.
Yeah.
Whereas if I
She still has literally...
thousands.
There's not thousands, but
Not quite.
you've got to be getting up to 250 tabs, I reckon.
I closed one this week, CCL.
That's one down then.
Yeah, I was pleased to hear it.
Markovsky says the Microsoft stuff is okay to use as long as you're careful where you put important stuff on your system. Anything breaks or goes wrong eventually, but if you think ahead, you're covered. Yeah. There's an interesting thing talking about RAID today, saying RAID is not a backup. And it's not, but it's kind of ironic that most NASes run RAID. So you're kind of, RAID isn't a backup, but we back up to a RAID. I don't know, just something about that whole thing, just, I don't know, it did something to my head. I was thinking, well, yeah, RAID isn't a backup. It's basically a redundancy. But you back up onto a RAID, which isn't a redundancy then, it's a backup and a redundancy. Anyway, moving on.
You alright, Otis?
So a lot of you seem to be using Firefox. I don't think I've ever used Firefox. What's the one that comes on Safari, isn't it? It's the other one. Yeah, Safari I use on the iPhone. Although I use Chrome. No, I don't. I use Google.
I don't have Google on my phone.
Riley says, thanks Mike, mind blown. RAID, NAS backup. Yeah, isn't it? Because a RAID array is a redundant storage. So if a drive fails, another drive can take its place and prevent data loss. But people always say, if you're putting RAID into your PC, it's not a backup, it's redundancy. But then you back up your PC onto a RAID. So yeah, it makes sense because it is obviously a backup when it's done like that. But yeah, just I saw the irony to the statement. Mookie MC says, Chrome has never impressed me. I think I once used Opera a lot. I used Opera very, very little. Maybe for about a year when it was on PC in one of my workplaces. And I didn't really like it. Opera GX. I seem to hear that talked about, but I don't know anybody who actually uses it. Does anybody use Opera GX? Let me know. I think for me as well, a lot of my system choices come down to what the defaults are. Now, for years and years and years, I used Windows probably 7 back then, I'm thinking, and I was always on Internet Explorer. I used Internet Explorer for everything. I never even installed Chrome. I don't think I installed Chrome until shortly before we started the YouTube channel. Around that sort of time, because obviously YouTube, Chrome all kind of fits in together. And I think I installed Chrome back then purely because you kind of, yeah, I think you had to. I don't think you could have a Google account without a Chrome device at the time when I did it. I might be wrong there, but it seemed like, oh no, sorry, no, there was plugins I wanted to use for YouTube and they wouldn't work elsewhere. Or they didn't work in Internet Explorer as it was at the time. Okay. So we're coming up towards 11 o'clock now, so I think we should really wrap things up. Hopefully you've enjoyed tonight's stream. If you have, please be kind and leave a comment, give a thumbs up. And if you're new here, maybe click on subscribe. You never know, you might like it. You might not, but click on subscribe anyway. All good fun. But thank you all for your comments. Just saw there someone said Netscape Navigator and the Lighthouse logo. Yeah, that was good. When we first got broadband it was cable iNet, I think, back then. Or maybe even slightly before that. Yeah, we used to use Netscape Navigator. That was a day. God, blimey, yeah. Good stuff. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you've learned something, or maybe you haven't, or maybe you've got some ideas on what you might do. Maybe you want to try the script. It is linked in the video description, so you want to check it out, you can do. There is going to be a separate standalone video as well, so I would appreciate if you watch that. It would be very useful and always good for the stats. But I think that's going to wrap things up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. And I'll get to see if my button on here actually works. Hopefully we'll do. So good night everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you bright and early on Monday morning. Thanks for watching.